Taylor was such a bright, young, vivacious young lad who was so sociable, so out there. You hear a story, or you read something, or you see one of his friends and you say, what if?
Ian was in his absolute prime of life. He was 44, he was a firefighter. Sepsis has turned my world upside down. It took my husband, it took the father of my child, and my life will never be the same again.
Losing a child is probably the most devastating thing any parent can go through. But losing her has touched every single part of our lives. Sepsis is deadly serious. Sepsis kills in hours. You don't have time.
I think it was just so difficult to comprehend that something, this unknown thing, could just come and take someone.
Trying to explain to a wee girl coming home from school that her big brother's not here anymore.
I'm Colin Graham, I'm the Chief Operating Officer for Sepsis Research Feet. Sepsis Research Feet is a recognised charity. Our mission is to save lives and improve the outcomes for people affected by sepsis. One of the ways that we do this is to fund vital research.
So I'm Kenneth Bailey, I'm a consultant in intensive care at the Royal Infirmary in Edinburgh, and I lead a research group at the Roslin Institute at the University of Edinburgh. The genomic study stands for Genetics of Mortality in Critical Care. It's by far the largest study of its kind anywhere in the world, and it has already led to some important discoveries in the genetics of critical illness, including sepsis, which is the biggest part of the study.
I'm Fiona Griffiths. I'm the Genomics Study Coordinator at the Roslin Institute. The main process for me is to make sure that we have the samples from patients that have been recruited in hospitals arrive back in the labs. So we provide every recruiting site in the UK with these sample kits, and they will collect a blood sample from a patient in the hospital and send that back to the labs. And it's at that point, once we have enough samples, that the DNA can be extracted from the blood and the research can begin.
We know that your genome is responsible for a very large amount of individual susceptibility to infection. My favourite piece of evidence for that is from an old adoption study in Scandinavia. But if your biological parent died young of an infection, then you're almost 6 times more likely to die of an infection yourself. And that translates into susceptibility to sepsis. We know from other evidence that your chance of dying of sepsis is strongly encoded in your genes. That gives us good reason to hope that we'll be able to identify specific genes that tell us the mechanisms of organ damage in sepsis and ultimately lead us to new treatments. We've made some very important discoveries in COVID, but of course when COVID hit, we were already recruiting patients across the whole UK. Sepsis Research Feet made this possible by believing in us at the very beginning of the study, and they wanted to do something transformative in sepsis.
We're very proud of the huge amount of work that is being undertaken by the University of Edinburgh and the progress we're making on our sepsis research. It is very expensive, and we can only continue this with sufficient funding. Please consider supporting Sepsis Research Feet today.